Yo, let's get to business. I got Damon Thompson here.
Hey.
He's an incredible artist, mural artist, but I'm not gonna put him in one category. He's just a crazy, incredible artist.
Oh, thanks.
And reason why I'm doing this, man, is just for the spread of the love of the culture. You know, and he's one of those special, talented people that I want to shine light on. And I'm starting with him, and it's just to use my voice just to spread a positive narrative for these people, man. You know, the special people that got that gift that you just, you know, you look at it and it's like, wow, you can't even put a price on it. But I'm here today with Damon Thompson once again. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Not much, man. Working.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Right. I'm so happy to have you on here.
First time you getting this going with interviews?
First joint, yeah. It's the first time, man. Like I feel like you're a perfect person to start off with. I seen your work, and it was just, I was like, wow, I was blown away. It was crazy. Like around the city of Louisville, and just looking and seeing on different types of buildings and the artwork.
And by work, I'm not a music producer. I do murals. So that's what you've seen.
Yes, let me get clear. He does mural paintings on buildings, big ones, and it's just, the talent is there, and it's just a unique gift that he's got. So how long you been doing art, man?
Well, I've been doing the spray paint art on buildings for about 12 years.
Word.
I've been doing art. I've been attempting to get good at drawing and painting since I was 8 years old.
Since he was 8 years old.
A really long time with that.
So you've been just doing this, yeah.
Yes.
He got the gift for it. Like he said, he's been doing it since he's 8 years old, you know. So what drives you to just, I noticed the consistency you got. You know, it's not just like you got 2 or 3 pieces of art. I mean, you're consistent with it. Every week you're posting something. What motivates you to keep that drive going?
Well, first, I really like the word consistency, and I think it gets thrown around a lot, and people don't understand. If you do one thing well once a week, by the end of the year, you will have accomplished more than if you just went hard for 1 month and then fell off.
Right.
So I keep a pace that's something I can keep up with, and I do it because it's just such an exciting life to live art and to have a new challenge and to set a new goal, and when you achieve your goal and move that goal post farther, you know,
right,
keep it going.
I like that word pace too. You know, everybody's pace isn't the same. Once you find your pace and stick to it, and like you said, that consistency. So I
my pace got really fast because I would get organized with lists, and now I keep my list on Google Docs. But I used to have a piece of paper that was written in Sharpie, printer paper, and I would write things down in a row.
You can help me with that. You sound more organized than me.
but yeah, I would double check it every day. So I'd have my ladder, my water, my spray paint, my sunblock, you know, everything I needed. And so I could line up 5 projects in a week and get every single one of them done and not wear myself out, mostly by being organized.
Okay, that's crazy.
Being good at what you do really helps.
Right. You're good at what you do, so you're able to do it consistent when there's nothing to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you love what you're doing. So, but that organization is key. That sounds nice. So, I'm sure you got you know, friends and family and different things to do. How do you balance all this scheduling out as far as like doing your artistry and living, you know, regular day life?
It was a real struggle. For the last 2 years, I do this full time now. I do art and I do murals full time. But
Nice.
before I was able to make that transition, I would wake up at 4 in the morning, do art for 2 hours, then to get the kids ready for school, and go to a job. At the time, I was moving furniture for a Habitat Restore. And then on my lunch break, I'd have a project and I'd do a painting on my lunch break. I'd only eat for 5 minutes and I'd do a painting.
Okay.
And then, so then I would leave, go get the kids, get home, eat some dinner, and then I'd line up. I'd either like
That's crazy.
do more art, or I'd line up what I'm going to do in the morning before I went to bed. So I get in 2 to 4 hours of studio time.
Wow.
During each day that I worked an 8-hour shift.
Okay, so that's back to that organization. Like you're an organized artist, and that's crazy. And that's one of the elements that seem like the boss you to hear. You know, doing it every day and getting paid for it. That's crazy. So maybe you can help me with that.
Yeah, well, you start off with what a goal you know you can accomplish,
right,
and then you build on that. Like if you make it a month, getting done what you set to get done that week, then you say, all right, I can pile more on, and
see what you can take first.
But but even when I take a break, like it would seem like 3 weeks or a month went by that I got nothing done because I stopped stepping up to the plate every day. You know,
right.
Like
I'm
that's
kind of like that when I started doing merch. You know, like creating things and then just going and going. It's like the consistency is the best way to keep. Because then once you find out of it, it's like I gotta dive back in.
Yeah, merch is hard to keep up with.
It's crazy.
It's really hard to keep up with.
It's crazy.
And people are all you always end up with more of the sizes that nobody wears.
Right, like if you over
You're like,
order,
why do I got
you know
these
what I mean?
extra smalls and
You're like,
4XLs?
Because it'll just be popping, and then all of a sudden, you know, it may deflate for that certain thing for a moment. You're like, oh, okay, but you know.
And I have a background, like before I did the murals, I worked in t-shirt shops.
Okay.
I know all about apparel.
Word,
and I know that if you don't have a hit design, you just have a box of shirts.
That's facts.
Dude,
I mean,
like
you gotta
you
have
just
something.
you
gotta have
can't
something
give that
special.
away. You know?
Right.
If it ain't fire, it's not
gotta
going
be
anywhere.
unique. Yeah, it's gotta be fire.
Yeah.
Something nobody else is selling. So yeah, I learned that early. But moving forward though, that's pretty interesting. So do you have any personal favorite pieces that you have in your own? Like maybe one that's like has a lot of value, sentimental value, or something that just talks to you in a different way?
Well, me personally, of the work I've done, I'm proud to say that there's very few of them I avoid looking at because sometimes you get like that with an artist. You'll see something, you just know there's something wrong with it. You want to fix it, you can't see what it is. Luckily, by the time I started doing murals, I was past that stumbling block stage. So a lot of the work I see, when I see it, I'm really proud of it. But one of the main ones is there's one of Sister Rosetta Tharpe.
And you hear that? He's proud of every piece that he does. That means he got confidence, man.
Yeah.
And you artists out there should just be confident in what you're doing.
Sister Rosetta Tharpe, that one's in Louisville in the West End. It's near 22nd and Camp Street, I think. And it's on an old church, but she's looking off to her left. It's got a sunset behind her. It's actually...
Yeah, I noticed. I noticed that, man. I got the same thing from when I was like, every piece is just like, boom. Everyone looks unique. This one has just kind of hidden images that you got to keep looking at and find it. You know, everything was unique that I looked at. So I feel the same exact way about your work.
Yeah, but that one, and it was cool too, because when I did it, it was during the pandemic lockdown. No one was allowed. Everybody was at their house. So like dude came across the street and saw what I was doing. And he just was so impressed. He gave me $50, like some just neighbor.
Word.
It was just like,
soon as you seen it.
Yeah, you know, he thought it was really cool. And the people that live there, they have a band practice. She pretty much invented rock and roll. So like legit, like she that formula for what became Elvis's sound, that was Sister Rosetta Tharpe. So it was cool to make that happen. And,
very legendary.
Yeah. And so now they have graduated from rehearsal space where that building was to having some small concerts there. So they've renamed it like the Rosetta Venue or something. And before that, they just call it the church because it used to be an old church, and now it's a place where people live.
Right. So your art has just already touched people. Just like you said, right there, it was just instantly, they was touched by it. So that's incredible, man. That's pretty cool. So on your website, it's DamonPaints.com.
DamonPaints.com. That's where I sell my prints. That's where I sell my spray paint stencil, small pieces, original, intricate, one-of-a-kind paintings. You'll find there. As time goes on, I might even have T-shirts, but having gone through that circus in the past, I'm not eager to jump back into it.
It's a crazy game.
It is
I've done with it for maybe the last 2 years, so I can relate to that.
Like you have today, you get the options of pre-sales, and that's where you can really cut out your losses.
I do like the idea of pre-sales.
You especially if it's a hit shirt and you've got a large amount of followers on social media, that will help you a lot with the pre-sales.
That's facts. So on that website, like I said, there was some incredible work on there, and one that stood out is I think it was called "See Right Through You."
Yeah.
Is there anything, you know, that you want to break down about that?
Well, that was done when I first started on it. So that painting just recently got finished, and I've been working on it off and on for about 3 years.
This is a nice one. It's nice.
And, so to the point where I've actually lost the original reference photo. I don't remember what the central figure. I don't remember which Hollywood actress she is. I usually keep a note of it, but it didn't. Unlike most of my pieces, it wasn't a dead giveaway that this is who this is.
Right.
Right. So I started using, when it wasn't a really common instantaneous recognition portrait, I would start making it more about the story that this image is telling, of this person staring straight out of the picture right at the viewer. And so I started layering on collages of outlines of cartoons. There's like Lady and the Tramp is in there, and there's like some other cartoon figures. Yeah. And the title "See Right Through You" just comes from the fact that, like, anytime a girl's had to stop and stare right at me, like that,
see right through you.
Yeah. This is what it is, man.
It is. That's a lit title too.
I like to catch those moments that aren't the whole story, but give you more questions, but give you the answer in the title. You know?
Right. It's talking to me. As soon as I seen it, I was like, whoa, I just had to stop and look at it. So, and another one that stood out, it was called Irresistible.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, you know, it had some hidden imagery, kind of like to see right through you, you know. There was a lot going on there. Can you tell me a little bit about that one?
Yeah, that was, so the central figure is turned away from the viewer, and that's very uncommon in paintings because, well, the only time you can find references for photos to like draw that kind of images are usually in like hair magazines and stuff, because they're showing you the back of the head. But that one, I was reading a lot of Jaime Hernandez comic books. He did a comic book called Love and Rockets.
Okay.
And it's like and I just the idea of like that cool 80s 90s girl that you knew wouldn't talk to you, that usually had like a black bob haircut or something.
Yeah, it seemed like they made a lot of records back in the days about that subject too in the 80s. You know?
And so I wanted to just overlap a lot of outlines on top of it. I mean, she's already like turned her head away from you anyway as a central figure. So to have like the Morton Salt logo girl, she's literally like pouring salt.
Like the shady one.
That's what she's doing, is pouring salt. And so she's up in there.
That's pretty unique, man. I love comic books too, so I can see how you're doing to relate to that.
But yeah, like I overlap the outlines onto the traditional painting because it looks, I like how things look when people scribble on top of drawings. Because I see kids scribble on walls, and I'm like, well, that's a cool wallpaper, and then they scribble on it. That juxtaposition locks my memory onto that image.
Okay.
And somebody sent me a photo recently where somebody had done graffiti over this guy's like sort of basic and boring street art. And he's like, how could they do that? And I was like, well, before that guy did that, I wouldn't have remembered what that wall even looked like. And now after that guy did that, I can't forget either of them.
The imagery just is
it's almost like these two, this force of creation and meditation that is traditional academic realism, and then you take this force of destruction that's vandalism, but to be able to marry the two in a painting to where they both complement each other, that's what I'm going for when I overlap these outlines of cartoons onto my paintings and stuff.
That's incredible. That sounds beautiful. I know she said juxtaposition too. That means two things coming and you know, complementing each other. Yeah. So that's pretty unique, man. I like the way you broke that down too. A lot of artists can't break down what they see in their vision, and that's a talent itself. You know what I mean?
It is.
Break it down.
I've gotten a lot better at it since I've gone full time. Because before I went full time as an artist, I just assumed someone's gonna spend the time to sit here and look at this till they get me. They
really do.
And they're not. Nobody's gonna do it. You,
right.
If you can tell people what it is you do and why you do it, you will be understood.
Right.
You know? Like,
it opens their mind up about what you were saying when you went in that creative mind.
Yeah.
You know? So I like that, man. So I also noticed that you did. See, I got kids, you know, and they're into art and stuff like that. And I noticed you did some talking at Lincoln Elementary.
Yes.
Is that right?
I got
Okay.
invited to Career Day or
Nice.
Arts Day, I think it was, like where professionals in the field of art get to participate with what they do with the kids. But I do spray paint, so I couldn't.
Okay.
I wasn't about. I thought about like, hey, well, I can bring this water-based stuff, but it had still smell up the room for a long time.
Watercolor. Yeah.
Yeah, but other people were sewing with the kids and stuff. But I just would be there. I walked in and said, hey, I spray and paint walls for a living.
That's nice. Well, just to be able to even just, your presence to be felt there around the kids and to see what you do and for them to get their inspiration from you. To me, just right there is a lot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty unique, man.
And I showed them like some of the pictures of the murals I did because I had some nice printed out prints. And almost all of them, especially the bus riders, were like, I ride by that every day. Like, I immediately became the hit of the room. It was cool.
Then they're looking at that and they look at you and they're like, wow, he did that.
Yeah.
And
when you're a kid, knowing that you know the person that did that, it changes your mentality because you realize that's possible for you.
It really does. That's like seeing somebody coming out of poverty and going and being a professional anything. They're like, oh, he done it, so I could go do it.
Oh yeah, I mean, like just for instance, Muhammad Ali he did not ever have to come back to Kentucky.
He did not.
And he kept a room at the top of the Marriott up until the last year of his life. And I used to work at the Marriott, and he would look every person in the eye. He couldn't even move hardly, but he would acknowledge every person that he would pass.
That's
and
powerful.
that was just, it was amazing.
That is powerful.
And especially when you travel outside of Kentucky, you realize what a big deal this guy really is.
We talking about a legend.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali, So, yeah, that presence is alone, and it can go a long way. Those kids remember that forever,
Yeah. Well, I'm not Muhammad Ali, but yeah.
Yeah, you're not, but
I just all put it together. Like, what am I got my grandiose going on here, man.
But you never know what impact you can make on that. I mean, I truly. So, but moving forward, I also noticed that you had a Brianna Taylor painting.
Yes.
The victim of the shooting that happened a few years back. It was a major deal in the city. Can you tell me a little bit, elaborate on that?
I'd love to. So that came about because I had been talking to my friend, sculptor Ed Hamilton.
Okay.
He is the greatest sculptor I've ever met. He is one of the leading sculptors in North America.
Nice.
And he has a studio. He's probably one of the most accomplished African American sculptors there is, and he's well known for that. But he has a studio on Shelby Street. And we had been talking about doing the side of his studio, but it had been overgrown with poison ivy and the mortar was falling out. And it was a rough wall.
Okay.
And I was trying to be like, you're kind of a big deal. Let's do a portrait of you. It's your studio. It would make sense. And his daughter had got a hold of him, Kendra. She had said, hey, Dad, let's do George Ford and Brianna Taylor. You think you could talk to Damon about doing that? So he said, how would you feel about that? And I said, I think that's great. I would not have gone out of my way to try to attach my name to that cause.
I understand.
In a very public way without that invitation.
Right. Out of respectfully.
Yeah. Well, like I just seen a lot of people doing prints and like
there's a lot of things going on when that happened. You're right.
And I told him, like, just give me the amount of money it takes for the supplies. And then when we were done, he's like, well, let's make some prints. You could sell them, make some money. We'll both sign them. I'm like, we can't do that, man. That's not what it's about,
And that shows your good character, you know what I mean? When stuff like that's going on, you could, like you said, a lot of people were doing different things.
And it was strange too. There was a lot of things to think about with that too, because like, he said, hey, did you sign it? And I had, but it was, part of me was like, I want this to be for people to have their photo moment. This was in an area that was close to where everybody was marching daily, so they could go there as a destination,
protesting
to take photos. And I didn't want my name to. Eventually, I decided it was important to put my name there.
Right.
So if it got vandalized, I could take care of it quickly. They knew who to call.
Okay.
Or if somebody has issue with it, they can take it out on me and not out on Ed Hamilton, whose building is.
So you take a responsibility.
Yeah. All you fools come at me. Don't bring it to his doorstep, even though it's his doorstep.
Right. And I understand that. That's a very understandable situation that you're talking about. But on the flip side of that, the painting is wonderful.
Thank you.
Man, it's nice. But moving forward, so on the average, like how long does it take you to complete like one of those murals that you're known for doing?
1 day usually.
Nice.
That one of Brianna Taylor and George Floyd
That's
took
crazy.
us 2 days, and I had my best friend with me. He tore down the poison ivy because he's not allergic to it. He did the hard work.
What about this poison
Helped me
ivy?
buff the wall and stuff, and like
Good friend.
so yeah, like, that took 2 days, but in general, I try to get. I mean, there's one right across from that of Prince. It's not the one the sticker I gave you, but it's one where there's a dove and everything, and the Prince, like his logo, the symbol, and that took me 1 day. And I actually have to go back.
I know that's hard. I haven't even seen that one yet, but I know it's crazy.
There's a deep divot in it because there had been a shootout last couple months ago, and it got hit with some bullets. But like, yeah, it's
that's crazy, though. So, and I know that's crazy. A day or two. That takes a lot of technique and.
Well, here's what happens though. If you're not fast with murals, if you give any person who decides that they're gonna give you a problem, if you give them the chance to get caught, to get their posse together.
I know what you mean. That makes sense.
You know, like
because it's public. You know,
yeah.
You're out here,
like,
ain't no telling what
I
you're doing.
don't take this stuff to the committee meeting and try to please everybody.
Right.
I tell the property owner, this is your house. You do what you want. You know, like
Right. And like I said, back to that good character thing. You know, you making sure things right before you step in. That's cool. But so moving forward with this. So I know there's just some music playing on your promo vids, like whenever you post certain paintings or whatever. With the music, is there any top artists or any favorite artists? Can you give me a top 5?
Top 5 of music.
Yeah, music.
Oh wow.
Music.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I could say The Clash. I mean, what's funny is that the ones I'm going to say are the ones I don't use too often because they're just, The Clash, The Specials. That's a good one.
Nice.
Let's see, some more. Your basic feel-good anthem songs, like the stuff that, like, heck, man, like, it's a guilty pleasure with Pat Benatar, like
Feel-good
stuff
music.
like stuff that makes you puts a fire in your belly and a strength in your spine to get up and go.
Yeah, I was wondering because I noticed you put a little music behind those. So,
but yeah, I listened to a lot of rock and roll and punk rock most of my life.
A lot of rock. Okay,
yeah,
now.
And not.
So, on to the painting, which you're probably more, you're more on to that. You got top 5 painters? They could be drawers or digitals or.
I mean, I want to say the list that I feel like is more digestible because I know a lot of obscure stuff that's happened in the world because I can't not get excited about it. There's a reason why I follow over 5,000 people on Instagram. It's not because
there's a lot of artists out there.
Yeah, there is, and there's so many people doing amazing stuff. But I
There
really
is.
love Jean-Michel Basquiat. He's a New York City painter. He used to write Samo as a graffiti artist. He's been dead since the early '90s, but he was amazing.
Graffiti artist.
Yeah.
That's one of the original elements of hip hop.
Yeah.
And he's a New Yorker, so.
Oh, Jean-Michel. Jean-Michel. As soon as you see the stuff, you'll be like, "Oh, dude, I totally know that." Then artist who recently came here, Shepard Fairey.
Okay.
He did a 7-story mural of Muhammad Ali on the YMCA downtown.
I think I may have seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing.
That's nice.
And that goes back to like when I lived in San Diego in 1996. He had a coffee shop show there, and I fell in love with his work then. And to see him have made it the way he has worldwide, doing the Obama poster.
Okay.
The
nationwide artist.
The Hope poster that said with Obama's face.
Hope.
He did that poster that made him famous.
That was tough.
Yeah. So the fact that he's got a big mural here in my city where I grew up, and I got to talk to him like while he was here. That was amazing.
He's a unique artist.
Yeah.
And the paintings that you're talking about, I knew right off the bat what you're talking about. The Muhammad Ali joint.
Yeah.
And the Obama one that has the Hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's remarkable.
So like,
nice.
Yeah, so those are 2 off the top of my head. But yeah.
How about any specific paintings? Like for me, for example, I love Starry Night, and I know
that's cool.
Yeah.
No, I was literally going to say.
Really?
Well,
Word.
That painting, very much so, but Van Gogh, He's definitely of the 5 people of all time. And,
he's one of mine too. These are my top 5.
Well, and it's also cool because like it's just so good.
I mean, it just so right, and it's so unique. It's just like no other. It's just like the original version of Van Gogh was crazy. Like, and then the Starry Night. There's so many different versions of it, and people played around with it.
And for me personally, like I never was big into doing really thick, heavy outlines on things. Right. But when you look at it, he was doing heavy outlines with oil paint, which isn't easy to do.
Oil paint.
And
right.
He'll go around he'll do a painting of a chair and go around the whole chair with orange, and you're like, that really worked, like
yeah.
None of the other guys were doing that thick of a bold outline. I guess
that's a good point because he did it without he kept it under control and it didn't spread. Water paint is tricky.
Yeah, it's
So moving forward, and this is kind of off subject a little bit too, but is there any? I want to know about your favorite restaurants.
Oh wow. Well, so I had the good look. Where I live now is where I grew up, which is in the south end of Louisville. And I live in Beachmont, and in that area are some of the best Vietnamese restaurants.
There is
one called Vietnam Kitchen. Okay. I haven't been in a few years. It actually finally got to the point where it's almost too gross, like sticky for me to enjoy, but the food never disappointed.
I know what you mean.
Like, it was like so good.
Some of the best foods are in some of the most, what is it doing here places?
Queen of Sheba, like the Ethiopian food. If you want to try something that's super good that you've
never tried
before, it's like a foamy little bread, and you pinch the pile of pureed vegetable and beef, and it's just so good. It's a totally different experience.
I have to try it. Sounds interesting. We stay going out to eat somewhere, so. Okay, but moving forward, I gotta know this, and this is not a crazy question or nothing. Are you an iPhone or Android man?
Oh gosh, iPhone for sure, man. Like, I'll tell you why, because my wife is so good about having a budget, and I had an Android till about 3 months ago. And I watched in 5 years, everybody with any common sense switch to Apple. And here I was still on Android. And it's been like the clouds parted, and there's no rain on me now. And I'm loving life with my Apple phone. Like,
you came to the other side.
I didn't want to be on the other side. I just couldn't afford to be where I wanted to be.
I feel you. It is a different level as far as that.
And it was cool for what I was doing, because a lot of times I'd be at the top of a 2-story ladder, and I don't want to drop an expensive phone, but with the Android, I mean, I beat that thing up.
That's a good point. That's a solid point. Because like, if you're dropping those iPhones and they crack like it, it's like, oh man, that's a fortune. I've had good Androids too that didn't cost me as much money. So good point. But I am team iPhone though.
I actually use both of them now. I'll use I'll bring my Android phone for when I'm up on a ladder. I gotta look at what I'm working on. And then, yeah, because
you get up there sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, so nice. Moving forward, are there any specific paintbrushes that you prefer to rock with?
Yes. Brands? When it comes to the paintbrushes, if it's not they're called this begins with an R, a rigger, and and it's a liner brush, and it's made by Treacle.
Just get that clear, okay? Yeah. This is my dude, right? This is my man. We good.
And it's a liner brush, and it's the only one that I actually pay up for.
Liner brushes.
The rest of the brushes, honestly, I grabbed the big bag of cheap brushes at Walmart, and I can do 90% of what I do, I can do with those. So
it's not all in the thrill; it's all in the skill. You hear me?
Yeah.
You can have the most expensive stuff if you don't have that special touch. You know what I mean? And that gift, and that's what it's about. So that's nice. I was just wondering. So, do you have any message to the youth or any upcoming artists that any youngest that you may know that's getting into art, or just anybody young?
Yeah, I want to say this because I think a lot of people answer this question by saying, "Oh, you want to try everything. You want to give it a go. You want to,
That's a good point. Give them your real.
But that's not my point.
Right.
My point is, you ain't got the money for that. If you grew up like. Art's expensive.
It is. It's an investment too.
Look at what people are doing on YouTube videos and decide what you're going to get stoked on and spend your money on before you try to spend, you know, $2K a year learning a new arts and craft that you're not going to follow through on.
That's a very valid point.
Right.
Like he said, he'll use any paintbrush. You know, it's not even about the price.
But what's cool is you can watch all these tutorials on YouTube and bypass the whole system of the shakedown that is art education.
You're right.
Because
anytime you want to learn something, the information is out there.
Yeah.
You just got to be willing to seek and find it, and then see how it applies to you. So that's a good point. So I got to ask you, and this was a funny question to me, or it could be a unique. What is like your craziest reaction that you ever got, like as far as towards your art, or any like crazy fan moment that stands out to you?
This was a long time ago, and to be fair, I was a lot better shape, maybe would say more handsome back in my 20s. But this girl had seen that I was good at art, and straight in front of her boyfriend, just dropped his hand
It's getting hot.
and looked at me and goes, "When are we going to get together and have a Titanic moment?"
Whoa!
I was like, all right.
She said, not just any moment. She
Yeah.
said a Titanic moment.
You know, like where he draws her
Yeah,
naked?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
With the drawing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was a good one, but
that definitely had to stand out to you. You looking at her, you looking at him. He's over there.
oh, dude, he was so
Baby, how
drunk.
could
I don't
you?
think he heard her, but like she yelled it. I was like, I heard it. But no, but then
Nah, he heard it. He waited until they got in the car and was
Yeah.
like, what was you talking about
well,
back
I
there?
mentioned earlier that guy that gave me $50 when I was painting through his sister Rosetta Tharpe because it touched him.
Right.
And then another time, people just like show up and start like hanging out with you when you're doing art. Like, or that happens to me. Like,
I know what you mean. Like, whenever you just, it's like you could be, when you're good at something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they see that gift, it's just like, you never know who it draws around you, and they just want to be around you.
I was
This
doing this
person's
one
special,
recently.
you
I was
know?
painting a Marilyn Monroe in an alley. It's really close in Beachmont, off Woodlawn. And this person comes up with a truck. So when this happens, all I hear is the sound behind me because I'm spray painting the wall. But you hear the car wheels, you hear the brake, you hear the engine turn off, and you're like, is it a cop, an angry neighbor? What's going to happen?
Right.
I turn around, there's this like 60-year-old lady with her red hat, and she's standing there looking at me with her t-shirt. She's like, "What are we doing here?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm spray painting Marilyn Monroe," and she just jumps up on her tailgate on his truck and she's like, "All right, let's do this." And I just like she's blocking the alley and everything. It's
Yeah.
like, "All right, we're gonna tailgate this situation." I'm like,
That's a good one, too. And plus, you said Marilyn Monroe, she was probably like, whoa.
yeah, that was funny. It's like, all right, here's the party then.
Those are
She
too
started
good.
telling me how I done rode around the park. I've been out here in my truck. Now it's something to do. And I'm like, yeah.
That's crazy, man. And that just shows you the impact that you got on people, you know what I mean? And when you got a gift like that, it's powerful, you know? So do you got any, before we wrap it all up, do you have any special shout outs or any upcoming events?
Oh, yes. Well, let me think. Yeah, I definitely have shout outs. And a shout out my good friends Boog, Tango, Karma. These are guys that I know through graffiti. And then I want to say Grady Goods. It's a great store that just opened up. That's on Baxter Avenue next to the Identity Customs and next to Spinelli's. So those are things I want to say. This is on down the road, but in the fall, in November, I do have a show lined up, a gallery show at Grady Goods. He's got 3 rooms, 2 are gift shop rooms.
Grady Goods.
Yeah, and the last one, Chamel, he's got an art show right there right now. But in November, I'll have a solo show there. So,
Okay, I'll make sure I probably have to check that out.
November
We'll have to
2023.
check that out.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. I'm about to make sure I put that on their calendar, man.
It looks, for me to do the amount of work that fills up a room in a way that makes the room feel full, I have to work on it now to get everything done by then, you know.
Right, you gotta, you know.
Because now that I can do it full time, I like to overdo things. I don't like to feel it rushed.
And now you can pre-plan,
Yeah.
think it out.
I've already got
double
my
thinking.
supplies, my frames, everything's all
Okay.
sketched out. Now it's just to
Oh, I bet you got
work,
some crazy stuff.
work it and overwork it, make it look real full.
You hear him? He's always working, man.
Yeah.
And like he said, before he makes any mistakes, he makes sure he takes his time so he can make the right decisions. You know?
Oh yeah, I don't start. I start and it's done in my mind. Like
Right.
I don't like start drawing a snake and be like, oh, this bump, I need to make some legs here and make it a salamander now. You know?
Right.
No, I got a really clear plan before I get going.
It's all nice. That's kind of how I see things before I create. That's one good point too. Nice. So, and for the last, would you like anything to change around your way as far as, putting your art on display and getting recognition besides social media? Is there any, things that you want to see change as far as make sure people can get their art on display and, just to show their talents?
Yeah, I'm not meaning to be dragging on that question. I just think that what's the question again? No,
Yeah.
wait. Well,
Well, like, basically, besides social media, is there any other, like, kind of avenues that you want to see open up as far as people showing their artwork off? Or
yeah, I mean, yeah. Actually, now that I can digest that question,
yeah,
I got some real visionary ideas for that stuff, man.
Right.
Like I feel like when I drive around, I don't go 1 mile in any direction without hitting a wall that's 10 times higher than me and stretches on forever in every direction.
Right.
I feel like this is what it must feel like to grow up in Berlin under the partition, you know? Like it's
Yeah.
like, come on, y'all, like all these gray blank sound walls, all these river walls, all these walls between ditches and walls that surround neighborhoods. And you're going to tell me that this was a good idea to wall off and then keep walling off and keep making more walls inside the city? Let some people paint those, man.
And that's
like,
the point I was exactly trying to make. There's gaps in there. There could just be so much art. Because when I see yours, I just think of Banksy and it just hits me. It's outside, it's big, it's lit up, and to me, it's just incredible, man. So I just want you to, man, keep doing what you do, man. You're inspiring a lot of people.
It's real hard for people coming up to get a place to practice on a wall. But we have these endless walls going all over the place, snaking through every neighborhood in the city.
Mm-hmm.
You could designate a mile or two of that 50-mile apparatus of walls to just letting people be able to get their come up, be the open mic for people starting off,
Right.
It's really hard to get to where I'm at unless you've made the mistake on a wall like 15, 20 times,
Hey, it's trial and error, But, man, that's incredible, man. I'm so happy you came over here to see me,
Thanks for having me.
It's cool, man. I've been trying to get you on here. Like I said, as soon as I seen your work, I was like, man, this guy is he's special. And, he deserves to have his artwork displayed to every eyeball out there. And he's one of the greatest I've ever seen, man. So that's straight up. Y'all got to check him out. Check out DamonPaints.com.
Yep.
That's his website.
That's it.
And, let's get to business, yo. Appreciate you,
Well,
man.
thank you for having me.